So now that we've positioned images to the left and right using the float option, let's use floats to actually position the divs themselves and create two columns, one for our story and one for our sidebar. So if you remember, when we click inside a div, we can always find the name of the div here in the tag selector. So I know I want to create a new style for story if I want to affect all of the things in this part of the page. So using the new CSS rule button, I can delete everything except story from here. Dreamweaver trying to be helpful. But all I want to do now is create a style for my story div. Click OK. And for this style, I'm going to set the box category. And I'm going to give it a width of 330. I'm going to float it to the left. So now, just like I floated those images left and right, I'm floating this entire div to the left. I'm going to set a margin to 10, and I'm going to set padding to 10. That's going to create some padding on the inside of this div, so if I wanted to put a border around it, all of the elements would be far enough inside they won't be bumping up against the edge. And the margin will put 10 paddings around it and make sure it's set off from the sides of the container div and also from the other div next to it. But ultimately, I'm going to want 10 pixels of space between the two divs. So here's a little bit of a complexity. If this div is going to float to the left, and I want to have 10 pixels of margin between the two divs, then on the right side, I'm going to put 5 pixels on this div, and on the left side of the other one, I'll put 5 pixels, and their combined size will be 10. I think you'll see how this works in a moment. Click OK. And you see now my story div has jumped up here to the left, and I'm ready to create a div for my sidebar with the letters story. So let's click on the new CSS button. And because my cursor was somewhere inside the sidebar content, at least I got that much. It's not a bad habit to have your cursor inside a div like this, because if you type it in manually and you get one little character wrong, it won't work. Now, again, this is not a class style, it's not a tag style, it's an advanced style because it's an ID style. Click OK. And using the box settings, I'm going to set the width of this one to 380. Again, I'm going to put 10 pixels of padding all the way around the inside and 10 pixels of margin, except on the left side where I'm only going to have 5. Make sure you float it to the right. Click OK. And now you see I have two divs perfectly lined up side by side. And if I click on them, you'll see I have 10 pixels of margin, 10 pixels of padding, and 5 pixels on the right. And when I select this one, 5 pixels on the left.